Good morning.
I admit to being tired and grumpy. Tea ceremonies are going to do the death of me. So, Nisei week is this week. If you want to come up to Little Tokyo, we're doing tea ceremony all day today and all day tomorrow. I think they canceled the parade, which is interesting because they were thinking about canceling the whole thing because of the protests, because it's right, Little Tokyo is right next to the detention center, and the protesters are still there, although they're quiet. But there's no real activity going on, other than so Little Tokyo is kind of back to normal, except for lots of graffiti all over the place. So they're still trying to clean up after all that. Yokoji is moving along. They're finally moving QuickBooks online, so I can access it remotely, which is nice. So I don't have to go up as often, but I would still go up one day a week. So I was there Thursday, set up for tea ceremony all day yesterday, and then we have tea ceremony today and tomorrow. And then Monday I sleep.
Are you going to give us a bigger report on Yokoji later on? Or?
There's nothing else to report, really. The work weekends have been scheduled through next April. They've been well attended, so the work is getting done, which is nice. And Jokai is slowly, dividing up. This new division of labor that's going with the existing people. There are a couple of requests for residents, so hopefully, knock wood, there'll be some people that will come up and stay. But other than that, it's pretty status quo. What we established, over a month and a half ago, is now in play and working. So that's where we are at this point. Jokai will leave physically, I think October, November, but he's going to the desert. So he'll still be involved through next October. So that has been established. Tension is working on stuff to do online, but I don't have any new announcements about that yet, so I don't know what exactly.
He's still living there?
Yes, he's still living there. But he's also still working on the house in the desert. So some of the stuff may be remote from the desert. That has not been established yet. Okay. Next koan. I think this one is pretty straightforward as compared to last week's, which was not pretty straightforward. Unman and a mistake in speech. Case 39. Main case. A monk once asked Unman, "The radiance serenely illuminates the whole vast universe." Before he could finish the first line, Unman suddenly interrupted. "Aren't those the words of Chosetsu Shusei?" The monk replied, "Yes, they are." Unman said, "You have slipped up in the words." Afterwards, Zen master Shishin, who was 200 years later, so really afterwards, brought this matter up and said, "Tell me, at what point did he slip?" Mumon's commentary. If, as regards this case, you have grasped Unman's lofty and unapproachable activity and how the monk slipped up in his words, you are worthy to become a teacher of men and heavenly beings. If you are not yet clear about it, you have not even saved yourself. The verse, angling in a swift stream, those greedy for bait will be caught. If you open your mouth even a bit, your life will be lost. So I thought that Eiken Roshi did a good job of kind of capsulizing it. I've read it and then meant to underline it and then didn't, so I would not be able to find it. Okay. Oh, sorry. Wrong koan. That's part of the problem. Oh, here it is. Okay. This point is well taken, but Western students don't. So he talks about, where are those lines he just listed? Okay, sorry about that. Let me continue in the Yamato sheet. Those lines will pop out maybe when I look at it a second time. All right, so the line "you have slipped up" in the words is a little misleading, because it's not his mistake. His words were a perfect quotation. But to better express it, he might be better to say, "You've slipped in and gotten lost in somebody else's words." Is really what he's trying to say. He's like, he's not going to let him get away with, just like if you feel like you've had some extreme Zen experience, and you walk in quoting Dogen as the expression of your experience. Any good Zen teacher is going to shut you down and say, "Who? What? What are you talking about?" Because it's not about, because someone else cannot express you. I mean, all this oneness is not sameness, and every single experience of enlightenment is unique and temporary. So something that somebody said 700 years ago, 1,000 years ago, is not your experience. So this monk attempting to wax rhapsodically about what some beautiful words that somebody else used, is completely misplaced. Says nothing about his experience. So Unman, being the quintessential teacher, stopped him and said, "Wait, stop. What are you saying? And why are you using somebody else's words to say it? What is your direct experience?" But this is a common, they call it a Zen sickness, that we have an experience, or we read some book, or we go to some lecture, and we are inspired by what somebody says. I've had that experience. Certainly, Alan Watts, I quote him all the time. One of my favorite sayings of Alan Watts is, if you understand, things are just as they are. If you don't understand, things are just as they are. It's one of my favorite sayings of his. And that is a reflection, perhaps, of my experience. But it is not my direct experience. It's Alan Watts' experience. And he said it, better than I could have, so I borrow his words. But they're still not my experience. And understanding that, which is why one of the reasons, in Eigen Roshi talks about this. There are some teachers who say, "Stop reading. Don't read when you're practicing Zen." And Eigen Roshi and I agree that's a little ridiculous. I think that studying does provide a deeper level of understanding of what's going on. There's nothing wrong with understanding, as long as we understand that the understanding is not the enlightened experience. The practice of Zen is about being in the moment, this moment, your direct experience of this moment right here, right now. It's not about somebody's dead words. It's not about your stories from the past. It's not about your worries about the future. It's not about some inspiration you've had from somewhere outside of yourself. It's what your direct experience is right here, right now. That is the only thing that we're practicing in Zen. that does ripple out into a lot of other experiences. So it's not limited to that. But it's always in the moment. It has to be, because that's the only place you are. That's the only place reality is in this moment. So even if you're having some memory, and we've all had this experience, I've had this experience where I have some memory, of something that I thought was so extremely important that, it affected me so profoundly, um, that and I knew that I'd written down all the reasons it was important in my journal, because I journal not every day, but just as a way of mind dumping. I journal. So I go back to my journal on that day that I think it happens. First of all, it didn't happen on the day I thought it was. Second of all, it was barely mentioned. It was an afterthought that day. There were other things that were important that day. So all that important, and that's generally how memory works. Memory, what we are remembering in this moment, is probably not how it happened in the past. Um, it happened some other. It may have happened, but it happened in some other way, and it had some other level of importance at that time. But it is important now. So your experience now of that is what that direct experience is in this moment. Um, Completely unrelated or completely manufactured, because oftentimes we have these memories of things that didn't happen, but we're sure that it did. We'll swear on a stack that this profound experience took place. And I'm quite sure this monk sincerely was quoting this guy. And the guy he's quoting was a well-known lay practitioner. He was a government official who's complete. They do have a complete quote here. Um, yeah, here it is. The radiance serenely illuminates the whole vast universe. Saints, common mortals, and other living creatures all dwell in one house. When no thought arises, total oneness is completely manifested. If the six organs move even a little, it is covered with clouds. If you want to cut off delusive passions and thoughts, the sickness increases all the more. If you want to go towards absolute reality, this too is wrong. In following the relations of the world, there is no hindrance. Both nirvana and life and death are no more than empty flowers. So he truly captured. I mean, there's a second chant that we do, the second sutra that we chant in morning services, the identity of relative and absolute, says the same thing. That the 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 relative, only the relative is not enlightenment. The absolute only by itself is not enlightenment. It is this combination of both all the time. Karma is always attached. There is no way out of that. Even if schools of Buddhism did teach that there was a way out of karma. That is a teaching in Theravadan Buddhism. I don't know if they've modified that teaching, but that teaching didn't translate to the Mahayana school, which is the school we're in. So that's not something our school has ever taught. But because even in death, we don't think that karma goes away. Yakujo's fox, is that in this book, or we haven't done that koan. So even in death, there is cause and effect that continues. So it is important to really do this practice, to really sit down and take those thoughts and put them where they belong, which is not in your zazen. You're literally taking a break from that. You are practicing being in the moment. You're practicing without these discursive thoughts, without the stories, without the identities, without the quotes, without the movies, without the entertainment that we all have going on in our heads. And it's not easy to do. It's a lot of work. So very easy to fall into someone else's eloquence and use it. And there were times when I wish I could have gone into Doksan with Tenchi Roshi and quoted, because I could quote from now until doomsday. That's what I love reading. Love, the experience of what the written word, does to me. It's like, oh, it's so beautiful, such marvelous words, so amazing. But his his direct words to me was, not your experience. Come back with. He uses the word live words. So that's why, in Aiken Roches, he talks about the other, all the teachers have had the same um, um, admonition. You don't come in with somebody else's words or someone else's experience or your past experiences or some future concern. You come in with what is your direct experience right here, right now, because that's the only thing that's real. If anything else you come in with is delusion. What's real? Um, so and I have in my little column notes that where he slipped up, where the monk slipped up, was when he opened his mouth and separated himself from his own experience. That's the separation that Unman recognized, and called him on it. And Aiken Roshi was saying that this is the only koan in which a teacher interrupts uh, a student before he has a chance to get through. Usually they have a chance to get through it, and then they get called on it. But Unman was like, this just isn't happening. You're not going to sit here with this famous quote. And that is not to say that teachers didn't quote things, because Unman himself quoted the Xing Ming. The way is not difficult, it only abhors picking and choosing. Um, famous poem, famous Zen poem, and often used. But there was never a mistake in that quote that it was about that person's experience. And your experience is constantly changing. You're constantly in that flow of life that never stops. That doesn't freeze in time with his enlightenment experience. That enlightenment experience goes away as soon as you have it. On to the next experience. And the practice is being present in that constant flow. And that is the enlightenment. It is not being stuck in some quote or some moment in which you felt good about your experience. What about when you feel bad? Because there's nothing that's left out of Zen experience. There's nothing left out of this practice. The good, the bad, the beautiful, the ugly, it's all here. And all beings have the wisdom of the Tathagata. All experiences contain the Buddha. There is nothing that isn't there. But in our upside down thinking is when we use something outside of ourselves or separate ourselves from ourselves to express that experience, or to define that experience, or to explain that experience. And we engage in this delusion oftentimes for good reason, because the worst thing we do is talk about koan. That's what we do. And that's all we do. Is all tension does. It's all these koans come from talks given by these teachers, for hundreds of years, and they all acknowledge complete misspeaking in all this talk. So we use the misspeaking to teach about misspeaking, and to remind people, really do the work. And that work is really being present in the moment. Now that present in the moment doesn't just end on the cushion. This is a good place to form that foundation. But that present in the moment is all moments. Getting up, walking, working, taking care of yourself, taking care of your family, whatever it is you were doing is that moment. And billions of dollars have been spent successfully, and you bought all their gadgets to not be in the moment. Your earbuds, your smartphones, your tablets, your computers, the television. I guess television is kind of old school. So, who's watching TV these days? Um, and sometimes it's fun. I actually watched a YouTube podcast yesterday that he was talking about commercials, because I don't see them anymore since I don't watch television anymore. And he had some really funny I remember when commercials used to be the highlight of my television watching because they were hilarious. There's someone ingenious. I mean, someone put a lot of trouble into making these commercials because everyone knew that they had to be good in order for you to pay attention. And these were commercials out of Europe. So literally the funniest things I've seen in a long time. And I guess they still make commercials. I'm assuming there's still television.
Yeah, well, sure. But they're pretty inane, most of them.
Are they?
Yeah, except for Super Bowl.
Oh. Well, I mean, these commercials were inane, but they were clever. They were. And sometimes it was hard to tell what they were selling because they're so bizarre.
Well, it still is true, especially for some of the eating ads and stuff like that. What is this about? Like you turn the TV on, it's like these very happy people, very happy couple, and going here and going there, and then dance. Like, what's that about? ED ad.
ADM. So okay. Well, so that's still going on. I don't miss it. Anyway, so that's really all of this koan is all about. Is it just this very direct reminder? Do the practice. Let the thoughts go. Be present in this moment because there is no other moment. There's nothing else. That's all that reality is this moment right here, right now. And if you're someplace else, in some other story, in some other quote, then you've engaged in that delusion. You've missed it. You've missed what's in this moment. This moment is full of lots of wonderful stuff, or this moment is full of lots of horrible stuff. It's full of this moment, and we habitually, and so I had to uninstall TikTok because they got that algorithm down. That just sucked me in, and I had difficulty stopping. I was like, oh man, this is genius. They got me trapped. It's like uninstall now. Because
they know what you like, and they know what they're like.
I guess so.
Yeah.
All I did was sign up. I didn't ask for anything or look for anything. I just started looking as soon as that it came on. I was like, okay, red flag. Anything that addictive, the next step is meth. Dangerous. Danger. What was his name? Will Robinson. Will Robinson, yeah. Yes, I'm old enough to remember Lost in Space. Yeah, questions, comments, discussion.
Does that mean that basically most Dharma talks are kind of in the same category?
Yep. Same category.
A little bit discouraging.
Actually, no, because I'm hoping that this reminds people. Whatever I say, let it go. Let it go. And there's that famous. I guess it's a famous quote at the end of the head trainee ceremony. The head trainee says, "May there be enough water in the Pacific Ocean to wash my words from your ears." So that is my constant mantra. Do not get stuck in anything that I say because it's useless garbage. Yes.
Thank you. For how about if we take pictures or a video of a scene
What about it?
So, example, I saw jaybird and was beautiful, and instead of enjoying that present moment with that jaybird, at first I did, but I got tempted to start chasing after him,
Yeah.
and then he left. And it was not just one incident with, butterfly, with other birds. And I came to, for me, a conclusion, just let it go, just enjoy that present moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's somehow relevant.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we have beautiful pictures of amazing things going on in nature. A lot of it is AI driven and it's not real, but it's still, beautiful to look at. So, but what's real is going outside, really looking at what's really there. The jaybird, the sparrow, the butterfly, and 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 really being with the fact that it's there and that it's not, it's gone.
So I don't want to elaborate on that, but is that jailbird had some sort of message for me? I was in my daydreaming, I was entangled, and this house said, hey, look at me. But what I did, but instead of just enjoying, the bonding between me and the bird, I said, okay, I'm enjoying this, how about I share it? I got excited to share with my friends and family.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the part that, they leave.
Yeah.
Say, okay, and you are not in that space, maybe.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with any of that. I mean, this is not about making normal human conversation and experience and the telling of the experience wrong. But the telling of the experience is not the experience.
Yes.
Okay. That bird's long gone.
Yes. It's not a preamble, it is a preamble. It sounds like we don't take anything into the village. It's what you're telling me. It's like,
Well, you bring yourself.
well, you sit, you got the koan, you get it, okay, I'm gonna take it to the Roshi. What you're saying is, no, you can't even take that to the Roshi.
You practice with your human self. And so you bring your human self into Daisan Dosan.
It just, I've lived my whole life saying, kind of like an amateur comedian, most of my stuff is stolen, most of my material is stolen.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that I have, I bring with me is pretty much stolen. And it just seems like it would be hard to find that original moment.
That original moment is always there.
Well,
It's never not there. Now, what's difficult about it, and this is why we practice, is really being present enough with it to express it before it becomes a story, just in that moment. So if you walk in, sit down, and there's air in this room. There's, that's your direct experience. You're able to breathe. That's what's there. And all of the experience in that moment is happening. By the time it reaches your brain and into your mouth, it's old news. So the best you can do is express what that direct experience is. And it is not to say that you don't come in and talk about, context or experiences, because you do, because all those things are what's on your mind. However, recognizing those things are not the experience itself. You are made up of all of the past, all of the past that has brought the humanity and then yourself, the universe and then yourself to this moment. You're made up of all of that. So there's nothing missing in this moment. So, but what gets missed is mistaking the story, or the experience. That experience only happens, the experience of this moment only happens in the moment, in this moment. And this moment doesn't stop. It's not freezing long enough for you to be able to tell that story. It's why these experiences that we read about are instantaneous. They're the sound of the pebble hitting the bamboo, Rinzai's shout, Basso's finger. It's these instant moments that are before thought, and they don't make a lot of sense out of context. So we give it context. So there is that context. So I'm not trying to make any of these conversations or whatever we do, even these Dharma talks, I'm not trying to make them wrong. They're not wrong. They're just not they're not the experience. And our work, our job as Zen practitioners is to get to that direct experience. So that's your job description. Because all that joy and all of that upset only happens in the story that occurs after the fact. It's not in the moment. Just the experience itself is in the moment. The experience, might be painful. You've just put your hand on a hot stove. You've had a painful experience. So, but your hand has long moved off that stove if your nervous system is operating correctly. Before your brain even registered what it was. Getting to that direct experience is what it is. The taste of a cool, cold glass of water on a very hot day, you know what that is. You know what that experience is. Talking about it, hard to do in the moment, but it's like, oh, then it's gone. Yeah.
So photos, videos, we experience the moment as however we experience the moment, but our perception is limited. And sometimes photos, videos, they relay to us in aspects of the moment that we did not observe. I have a picture of even my son, who's very young, and there's some ducks involved, and he's sort of trepidatious about it, and I'm sort of down with him, and there's this whole thing going on there that didn't really grasp when I was experiencing it. I mean, I was present as I could be all by fending off the ducks, but I could see my son's expression in this photo.
Yeah.
Jackson Brown does a song called Fountain of Sorrow, where he talks about a photograph of this woman he was with, and that you saw a trace of sorrow in her eyes just from the photograph. So we miss a lot in our direct experience. And sometimes those things...
No. You don't miss anything in your direct experience. That the experience that you're having at looking at this photo is the experience you're having now. You didn't have that experience when you first were there. That experience didn't happen then, and you didn't miss it then. You didn't know that you missed it. You're now making up that you missed it because you're looking at this picture now. That is a story you just made up.
No, I missed what my son was doing at that moment because I wasn't focused on it.
Right.
But now I can see what he was doing.
So it wasn't your experience then?
No, it wasn't. But it was part of what happened at that moment.
I understand that. And you're having the experience now because you're looking at a picture, but that experience is happening now.
But it happened to my son then.
It doesn't matter. When are you having that? When you were having that reaction?
Well, I'm having the reaction now to the photo.
Right.
But I'm saying that in the time that the actual photo was taken, my son was experiencing something. And this photo portrays what he was experiencing.
And how long ago was this?
30 years ago.
Oh, this is really relevant to him now? Is it really relevant to you?
Is it relevant to me? In the sense that experience, beauty, life is relevant, yes.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, it's part of my life. It's part of my...
Yeah, it's part of the story of your life.
Yeah.
Your life is happening.
But I learned more about what happened that moment when we photo.
Yeah. I get it. And this is we have these marvelous memories because we're beings and we've developed these memories. But the memories are lies.
But photos photos are whatever they were, and they were taken in that moment. So they may be less of a lie than what we remember about the photo.
Maybe, or maybe not, or maybe you're just making up that reaction right to the photo now.
Maybe. It's possible. I mean, it's possible.
Yeah.
But
So
it's an aspect that I didn't experience in that moment.
yeah, I get it. I understand. I'm not making out any of that wrong. I'm just saying your experience is the only thing that's real is what's right here right now. You're thinking that experience is in the past or came from the past is not possible. It didn't come from the past. It came from your present day looking at this photo. Mm-hmm. It's only happening. The reaction you're having is only happening in the here and the now. But we project it back. We make it into a story. It's not, but that's not where the experience is happening. It's not when the experience is happening. You missed that experience because you didn't see it at the time.
Right.
38
right.
years ago. This was a long time ago.
I know.
So enjoy the experience that you're having now, but call it what it is. It's now. It was not then.
Yeah. But I learned things about what my son was experiencing then from watching the video or watching the photo. I believe.
You believe.
Yeah.
And you're not learning anything about your son's experience. You're having the experience. I
don't agree.
You are having this experience. Did you have a discussion with your son about this? Because your son is the only one who can tell you what he was experiencing. And even then it's going to be a memory that was 38 years old.
Yeah.
And so that too will be a lie. So, both of you are going to make this stuff up as you go along. And you may enjoy this experience. It's a wonderful story. But it is not the experience. It is not reality.
But you're learning about the experience.
I get that. Still not what we're doing here.
No, I understand.
What we're doing here is getting rid of all these stories that we're making up about stuff just for 30-minute periods and a 10-minute walking period.
No, I understand. But that's just, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Walking.
But that practice.
The rest of the time we're out in the world.
Yeah. So you deal with the world as the world needs to be dealt with at that time. Dealing with it in as much reality as possible. No, and I know we live in this dualistic world in which people are constantly making stuff up, and you and I have both spent many years listening to people make stuff up, and bring themselves to levels of extreme pain and difficulty and suffering as a result of the story they're telling themselves about, and some of it's real, some of it they were truly harmed, and some of it they deserve to win their lawsuits for. Mm-hmm. But none of it is in the moment now.
Right.
So our work as Zen practitioners, and it's hard work because it is very difficult to kind of parse that out because it's all happening, in our present moment. But what's real and what's not real. If it's a story, if it's coming out in words, it may have been real at one time, but it's old. And late to the party. The party is happening in the here and the now before thought.
Right. But I think we talked about this before, our consciousness about what our experience was changes over time.
Yeah.
So what is real? Our perception of it. And it changes over time. So what do we have? Nothing.
Yeah, literally. Emptiness. Enjoy it. That's where the party's happening. Yes.
Yeah. This emptiness thing. I had surgery on my back 2 years ago, and on Monday I was able to stand up off on the surfboard. And so that was cool. But there's a little wave, and I'm just kind of like waiting for it to get that critical thing so I can shoot through it.
Yeah.
So there's wave and there's me, and while I was sitting, there was all the thinking, and then there was me watching the thinking. But pushing that all away, there was just awareness.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, it was great being on the wave, and it's probably great to be in concert pianist, but
Yeah.
is it the awareness that's important in Buddhism, or is it the subject-object focus that is more important?
Well, okay, so comparisons don't work. So trying to figure out what's more important than another only leads you down the road of very odious and unnecessary comparisons. It's all happening. It's all what you're thinking about. It's all part of your experience, part of your existence.
So we're not just trying to attain pure awareness. We're trying to be on that way.
Yeah. Yeah. With all of your humanity. Without, you're not trying to get rid of one thing or the other. But you are trying to stay in the awareness, stay in the recognition of what is this moment, that the experience of this moment right here, right now. But that does not exclude anything. It can't. It can't.
You're trying to catch a wave too. You can't be thinking about anything except
You got to be, yeah.
catching the wave. I did the same thing. I did some boogie boarding, and man, that's it. Just catch the wave. There's nothing else. You don't have time to think about anything else. You are completely present, or else.
Yeah. And each time you're trying to catch that wave, you're a different person. New experience. It's like, even though I have, I still have pieces of music that I've, completely embodied. I see you, Steve. And I can sit down and play those pieces of music to some level of expertise, even if they're somewhat out of practice. But if I fail to recognize, if I try to capture how I played that piece 40 years ago, I invariably mess it up. If I recognize that I'm playing this piece of music in a body that remembers it right here, right now, today, as I am today, 40 years older, and in this present experience, then I bring something new to that old piece. So yeah, it's we take all of ourselves into every single moment, every single experience that we do. We don't leave anything out or leave anything behind. Steve.
Yeah. So I was kind of thinking, and
We can't hear
I'm
you.
gonna. Oh,
Hang on. What's going on? Is it
can you
my
hear me?
problem?
My microphone's on. Can you hear me now?
Try again, Steve.
Can you hear me?
Nope, still not working.
No.
Okay, hang on.
Okay.
Good, that's working. Testing mic.
I can hear him.
So
Okay.
it must be on your end. Yeah, must be on their end.
Oh, there's Steve. Okay, now we hear you, Steve.
I can hear. Okay, cool. Well, I was just thinking the universe maybe didn't want me to ask this question, so.
Well, not wearing that Howl T-shirt. I don't know.
Fair. So I had this question for a little while, and I was kind of listening to all the comments and your answers, and I think you kind of answered some of it, but I'm going to ask it anyway because I think it would just be good for you to kind of comment on this, and maybe I'm missing something.
Well, all my previous answers were wrong, so.
There we go. So this idea, I guess I'm struggling with this idea of like what is real, right? And so, and I understand that like the mind creates, or we are experiencing delusion. That's not real. We have to, come back to our direct experience. Where does like the body sensations come in? Is that like, so like if I'm feeling something, is that real? Or is that almost like or is it like, is that direct experience? Or is that not quite direct experience? Do you get what I'm asking?
Yeah, I get you asking. So yes, whatever your body is feeling is real, but that's usually not the problem. The problem comes when we try to make up a story about that feeling. We make that feeling into something, good, bad, horrible, wonderful, you know, choose your definition, and depending on the circumstances, depending on the feeling.
Okay.
But it's just a feeling. And it is empty of any of the stories you later conjure up regarding that feeling. Just the feeling.
Okay.
That is not to say that you don't pay attention to it. I mean, if indeed you're not trying to override your natural senses, you don't leave your hand on the hot stove just because you're doing Zen. That you're going to do what your body tells you to do. But making up a story about, oh my God, I'm such an idiot because I put my hand on a hot stove, and oh, I must need therapy now because I'm whatever the list of Google definitions that I have. So I mean, our mind takes over and is constantly entertaining us with and regaling us with all kinds of stories that we then add to the experience. The experience was had and has now moved on, and we're usually, stuck in that story.
That makes sense.
Okay. Yes. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
oh, Don, go.
And I was just thinking about certain people I've known throughout my life. Some people you can't get to them at all, talk to them, whatever. Other people are extremely, you might call them intuitive.
Mhm.
So where does this aspect of intuitiveness come to the issue of the direct experience? Is it part of the direct experience, or is it a reflection of it, or an afterthought?
I don't know. I mean, certainly intuition, might be, something, a direct experience before thought. You have, spidey senses, the hackles raising on the back of your head. We've all had, some reason that we feel uncomfortable or we have some sensation. Hard to know what that is or what the cause is. Usually, it's hard to know whether or not that's something that we see or experience and we're defining it out of our past experience. It's like you see a certain type of person and you're suddenly afraid. It's like, where does that bigotry come from? So, we don't know anything about that person, but yet we have this sense. Sense might be right. There's some people to be afraid of. And I've certainly had that sense about some people that came to me when I was working at Kaiser, and my sense turned out to be right about them. They needed not to be in healthcare. So, I think that we trust our senses, we trust our feelings, but don't get stuck in some story without evidence to support it. And that's the kind of where I fall with that.
Well, you don't believe in reincarnation.
Like, no.
I do.
But
So I believe there are connections with past lives.
Oh, I believe there are connections to past lives.
Yeah.
I just don't believe that we're. So to say I don't believe in reincarnation, I don't believe in a particular version of that story. So I do believe that matter and energy is neither created nor destroyed; it only changes form. So we are this present form of energy that already exists. Do I believe that I was some other animal or that I was a human way back in the day? I don't know. I'm not going to concern myself with what I was. What I have now is what I have, and I'm working with that.
Right, I'm just saying that your bad feelings about someone, if you believe in reincarnation, may or may not be rooted in things they did in this life. It may relate to something that they did in another life, or that you were connected to in another life.
Okay, so those are the stories that I don't.
The Latin root for intuitive is to watch, would be the guardian.
Yeah.
Intuitive just means you're watching.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's time to go. So, yeah, go. One last question.
I'm curious about, so now you are talking based on what you were sharing.
Mhm.
The moment I open my mouth and talk about that experience which happened
Mhm.
few seconds ago,
It's now delusion. So it was Master Po who said, the minute you open your mouth, you separate the world into two.
Yes.
Yeah.
So all these sharings, because
All delusion. Every word of it.
so
But there's no way out
the
of it.
key for me, just going to that absolute and relative,
Yeah.
is just to keep quiet.
Yeah. It is what it is. This is what we live in. This is who we are. There's no way out of this. So we work with it as best we can. And that's all this is all we've got.
It's just the production of the mind
Yeah.
that's going on, reproduction on
Yeah.
body.
So work on reducing that. You're never going to get rid of it.
Yeah.
But that's why the work is, that's why you do this for the rest of your life. So there's no end to this practice.
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. Sorry about all the delusion. Let's go home. Thank you.